Hey everybody, my name is Jennifer Dixon with Thrive Yoga and Wellness, and today, before we get going, I wanted to do like a mini disclosure. So one of our very favorite yoga teachers, who also happens to be like a makeup aficionado, found out that my daughter also loves makeup. My daughter's 4, and so she brought us over this huge caboodle of makeup. And so the last, I guess, 2 or 3 days, we've been having makeovers in the morning before school. So today I'm calling this my Mardi Gras look because it's both green and purple, and I have no idea how to do makeup. So yeah, if you guys love some makeup, go ahead and drop some links to some makeup tutorials, because by default I have to learn how to do it since I have a 4-year-old that loves to do makeup. So let me go ahead and just say that. Shout out to my girl Leslie. Thank you for the color palettes. And then, yeah, anybody else, go ahead and tell me how to learn how to do this stuff, because I don't know what I'm doing. And so my daughter's having fun, but that's the important part, right? So we have fun, we get made up, and I figured, hey, if there's makeup on, we should do some videos, right? So today I wanted to tell you about a product. So this company called HighOh reached out to me. I'm kind of embarrassed. It was before the holiday, so almost, I guess, 2 months ago. And they asked if I would be interested in trying some of their products. And in particular, it is their period starter kit. And I know it's probably a little bit awkward that I'm talking about this kind of on the Thrive Yoga YouTube channel, but the fact is we're yoga and wellness. And so I wanted to talk about all things wellness. And the reason why this particular product I was okay with it was, well, I have also been trying to incorporate more natural and perhaps sustainable ways of managing my own personal cycles, my own menstruation. I have a lot of, well, prior to children, I had a lot of problems with cysts and fibroids and really painful cycles. And it was miserable. It was like hell. So I did my best in everything I possibly could do to just not have cycles. And that worked for a while. And then the inevitable happened. And I was like, hey, yeah, maybe I should have some kids, you know? And so I stopped that, and I chose a more natural approach to managing things. And I got pregnant really quickly. Thank you, God. And so it wasn't until in the last year or so where I've been trying to maintain this more natural approach to a health and wellness in all aspects of my life, including this cycle, that I was like, you know what? I don't love these options. I don't love a lot of the synthetic things, especially if it's going inside of me or if it's in such a sensitive area. And in fact, my sister developed a reaction. She had a very bad allergic reaction to a brand, a very popular named brand feminine product, and she had to basically quit using anything that wasn't 100% natural because she had this terrible reaction. And so, given this family history, and she too suffers like I did from cysts and very painful menstrual cycles, that she and I both were kind of on these very regular conversations, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And there's 4 of us, by the way, 4 sisters. So my oldest sister, she came out one day and she's like, well, I'm using the Diva Cup. And I talked to my older sister about it, and I actually talked to some girls at the studio about it, and I just couldn't, like, I've hurt my finger now. I couldn't bring myself to do that. I just didn't feel like I was coordinated enough to it. So maybe one day I will try the Diva Cup, but I wasn't there yet. I was looking for something a little more traditional to try. And so when HighOh came to me and asked if I would be interested in trying their product, I was like, well, yeah, why not? And the reason for that is it's basically like a reusable pad. And I know before you are pumping the brakes and you're like, whoa, I don't know about that. So I was curious about this for a couple of reasons. One, it's sustainable. So you're not have you seen those packagings for the big pads? I mean, they're pretty big. So you're not throwing that stuff into the landfills. I loved the fact that it was something that I could have over time and use and use and use. My biggest hesitation for it was the clean factor, like how clean I would feel, and then cleaning it after the fact, if you catch my drift. Woo. And so it took me, I'm not going to lie, I got the first set right towards the tail end of my cycle. So I was like, sorry guys, you're going to have to wait again. And, it was my first couple of times I was like a little bit like, I don't know about this. But now that I've gone through 2 rounds of it, I can say that it's really not that bad. If you're, I mean, you wipe your own tushy, right? So you can do this. And so what you get with the period starter kit, I'll go ahead and show you. It comes in this waterproof baggie, and it's like all these little warning things, and they actually give you a little coupon, by the way, guys. And so you get 6 of these pads. This is what they look like. And these are considered medium flows. And at this stage, I'll be 40 actually in like 2 weeks, less than. At this stage, that's kind of where I am. At a younger age, like before kids and when things are really, really rough, I would have needed something a little bit more for the heavy. So I can honestly not answer to how this would manage if it was like a super heavy flow like I would have had maybe, you know, even 15 years ago. So for my girls out there that are looking for a sustainable product that is for lighter days or medium flows, this would work perfectly fine. So it comes with this little waterproof bag, which I thought was cool because if you are working a full-time job, you know you're going to need more than one in a day, right? And so you can take the soiled one out and then, you know, that's what I did, roll it up and then shove it in a little bag. And so then it's odor-proof and waterproof, so then you can throw it back into your handbag and it doesn't, you know, stink or get gross anywhere. And then the other cool thing is it's really easy to still, because it's all waterproof, you can kind of shove it out, especially if you don't love touching things, you can shove it out and get it into the sink. And that's what I did. Just get it out, rinse it off immediately or as soon as I got it home, and then I threw it in the washing machine. So here is a few stats about it first. This is made out of a charcoal and bamboo fabric. So I thought that was kind of cool. The part that actually touches you it feels like fleece. And so that was a little bit warm for like warmer environments, especially like working out. It got a little sweaty-ish, maybe a little bit more sweaty than usual, but because it's that fleece, it's that wicking, so it wasn't that bad. And the cool thing about this particular product is that it has these little snaps on the back, and they're pretty heavy-duty snaps. Like you have to like work to get them out. But the cool part about it is these snaps, there's 2 choices based on how thick or thin your panties are. Full disclosure, I only use them with regular panties. I didn't try this with thongs at all, so keep that in mind. So depending on how thick that interior part of your panties are, this will help to hold it in place. I didn't have any trouble with it like sliding up and down, but there isn't any of the adhesive that you would get like in a throwaway pad or anything like that. And it kind of goes front to back. And so it feels really soft, and you can see, just for reference in terms of my finger, it's not super thick. It's not super thick. Honestly, it's thinner than a lot of the bigger pads I've used, like especially for like the overnights. But again, remember, this isn't a heavy flow. This is medium flow. So in terms of medium flow pads, it's about the same in terms of thickness. But because it is this cloth material and specifically like almost fleece-like feeling, it seemed to me like it was maybe a little bit warmer. So do keep that in mind. This back part right here and along the edges, it's more of, honestly, it feels like a jersey type material, like, you know, like the wind pants, sweatpants, or like long sleeve kind of medium weight warmth. So it's not cotton feeling, it's more like that breathable kind of workout material. And so I said wind material, I guess. Yeah, if I was walking in wind pants, it would sort of be like swish, swish, swish. But that doesn't happen when you're on it, because it's sitting there holding the panties, and you don't hear any of that like swishy, swishy. At least I didn't. So now you're probably like, okay, so what do I do with it? So I just have come on, ladies, all of us, we have those panties. They're usually not the prettiest panties in the group, but they're always very comfortable. So I just grabbed the first pair of like regular panties that I had. I'm not sponsored by Reebok. These just happen to be Reeboks. And the reason why I loved these particular panties is that they stay put, and Mama's got a caboose and I hate things when they ride up. And so I wanted to go ahead and start with the foundation of panties that will stay put, so I'm not like not only digging out wedgies but digging out a padded wedgie. So I grabbed these panties, and these are the ones that I used during my period while trying these. And so, and you'll notice that the front of them, let me go ahead and open them up. They're not super thick. I mean, come on, we've all seen thicker ones, but they're also not super thin either. I kind of consider these kind of average in terms of the middle opening part for what goes between your legs. And so the way that you put them on, and it's obviously not going to be turned on inside out when you are putting them on, but for the purpose of this review, I wanted to kind of, I flipped my panties inside out, and then you unsnap the little pads, and then you put them, excuse me, where the fabric side is going to be what's touching you. So I usually use like the first snap because it wasn't super skinny panties or anything. And believe it or not, these are actually easier to do when they're on because you've got the fabric of the panties being stretched around your legs. So there is that. Keep that in mind. So you snap it. So pretending that the panties were on me, you would snap it in place like that, and you can see that it covers a lot from the front to the back. It's actually a rather long pad. And then when you flip it over, and again, these would kind of stay still because you're on, you can tell that there's the panties right there in the center. And again, you can kind of see it from the front to the back where the pad would stay. And I'm going to go ahead and guess, because that's one of the HighOh like claims to fame, is that these things stay put, and I'm going to go ahead and assume that it stays put because it is so long, and that snapping mechanism just kind of helps to hold things in place. Now, one thing that I was really concerned about, like I said just a few minutes ago, was the wedgie factor. But if you check this out, where the snap is right there in the center. That gives the panties ample opportunity to spread out after the fact, so you're not like walking around with on your period, because wedgies are just a pain in the rear anyways, but for some reason when you're on your period and you have a wedgie that's like this, like, go ahead universe, go ahead, hit me again. So the fact of the matter is, these don't really give you that wedgie, which is awesome. So even though we have to deal with the periods, at least it's not, dealing with a wedgie with the period, right? And so you can kind of see that it sits there and it gives the panties enough room to spread out so that you don't have that wedgie. Now, again, since this is a medium flow, I only had to change them out a few times a day on my medium flow days. And I also would change them out. I would try to time my practice, because I do still practice when I am on my cycle, unless it's the heaviest flow day, and usually I'm too tired to do it that day. And I know that there's different ideas and schools of thought with that, but to me, everybody, it's their personal practice, and so honor you. And so when I was doing this with my personal practice, if it wasn't the heaviest day, I would just try to time my practice to end kind of towards when I needed to change this out, because I did feel like I got a little sweatier, because this is like a cloth material. So definitely keep that in mind if you are using these and active. I don't run, I really just do yoga, and I lift some weights once or twice a week. So the sweatiness factor is a little bit different than if I was, back in my running days. I haven't done heated yoga in these though. So let me think. No, it's always been my Ashtanga class. And so we'll get maybe into the low 80s during that. So it's not like 100 degrees, right? So it wasn't unbearable, but it did get a little bit warmer practicing with this than if I would have used, say, like a synthetic, throwaway kind. You do get 6. That would mean you're doing laundry if you're using 3 during the day, and then that 1 at night. I chose to not use this at night on my heaviest day because I know me, but on my medium and light flow days, this worked overnight. So you're basically having to wash these every day, and they washed and dried fairly easily. The things that you might want to consider is, because this is a pad, and I grew up in a household, I love you, mama, where my mother just didn't like pads at all. We were not allowed to have pads. And so I have somewhat of an aversion to pads based off of what happened at home. My mother would always be like, oh, it smells so bad. And there's 4 girls. So, I mean, come on. And so I am possibly maybe hyper aware of a pad and the smells. I didn't feel like this was any worse than a regular pad that you would throw away. So the smell factor wasn't that big of a deal, but I didn't leave these on for like 12 plus hours. If you're one of those people that tend to hang out in it for all day and let things, you know, just cook, I can't answer to that. I changed mine at most like 6, maybe 7 hours. And it was no different in terms of the smell than any of the other products. I can tell you that the way that these are made is that they didn't bunch up really bad. Like, have you guys ever tried some of those, like just with one little bitty crappy little wing that barely flaps under the panties, and sometimes those wings get bunched up and then that one pad's like flapping up with every step, and so you've got it basically like pad trying to edge its way inside. Super not comfortable. These didn't do that. The snap in place kind of kept it right there, so you didn't have any like weird needs to adjust, and that was even with a yoga practice. So that's taken it through some pretty extreme range of motions. In terms of cost, so with regular pads, you have to buy them, you know, you have to buy basically a new bag depending on it, like every cycle. So your initial investment might be a little bit more, but you're getting to use these for over a longer period of time. I might have to do another video like in a year and see how it's doing. I do think that the Period Starter Kit is a great place to start because it does have 6, but I don't love doing laundry every day. I've got 2 little kids and, you know, lots of crap to do. So I think the Period Starter Kit's a great place to start, but I do think long term you'd probably need 2 or 3 of these so that you can go a few days. Like, obviously you go home with it in the waterproof bag, empty it out, soak it so that it's not just like festering, but I would prefer to have the option to like throw a pile all at once into one load instead of kind of mixing them all in. So that's me personally. So if you are thinking about the HighOh Period Starter Kit panties, and I would say go for it. The investment is not that great. I had it pulled up here a second ago and now my computer logged out. So the investment's worth it, especially if you are into that sustainable lifestyle, if you're trying to like reduce your footprint and all of that thing. I love the fact that it's using bamboo, again, very sustainable product, and that it makes it very easy to incorporate a natural sustainable product into a very regularly occurring instance in my own life. It did make me a little bit hotter and maybe warmer feeling than a traditional, you know, disposable pad, but I didn't really mind that. Granted, this has been December and January here, so I'm not entirely sure how I would feel about it in August in the South. Like, I might have to like reevaluate my thoughts on that in August when I'm, you know, when you just go to the car and you're, you know, sweating everywhere. So keep in mind it might make things a little bit warmer, but because it is that nice fleece type feeling material, it does wick things away, but it's just a higher temperature in general. Overall, I really did like the product. I thought it was answering a really big need to like help reduce some of our waste. Like, their feminine products take up a lot of space in our landfill, and they've also, a lot of them got a lot of crap in there that we don't need to have on our bodies. So this is an all natural product. It does use sustainable growing and things inside of it, so that makes me happy. I also love it. It is the company history is actually kind of cool. It's a couple of sisters that they're self-made people. Like they saw a need and they developed a product, and to develop a physical product and bring it to market, that takes guts, tenacity, creativity, and then of course that like engineering spirit. And so I really appreciated the fact that it was a family company that is willing to put in the work that's necessary to create a product that will help to make a better world for myself and for my daughter when it gets to be her time. So I hope this review helped you make your decision onto whether or not you want to buy the HighOh period starter kit that comes with 6 of these reusable pads, even though there's only 5 in my hand right now, and 1 of these little leak-proof bags. I think it's a great little product. I think it's answering a nice demand in this market, and I think that it's great that more and more companies are coming to the market that offer these sustainable solutions to a very real need. Like, let's be honest, like half the world is female, and then probably I should look up the stats of how many of those females are still experiencing their cycles. Or even the other thing I forgot to mention, they also say that you can use these for incontinence related issues as well. So it's a really great product to help reduce some trash in our landfills and help you to feel a little bit better that you're not contributing to that, and at the same time provides a small family business a great way to change their legacy. So thanks so much for watching. Again, my name is Jennifer Dixon with Thrive Yoga and Wellness, and today we talked about the Period Starter Kit by HighOh. And I have some music playing in the background, and I want to make sure I give it a shout out. I just used the iTunes meditation playlist, and this is what came up, so I don't want to get in trouble for having music and not shouting out who it is. If you liked this review, definitely make sure to subscribe to this channel, and I will try to make sure that there is a link for you guys to check them out personally. You can get these on Amazon, and they get here like that, like, you know, Amazon Prime, couple days. So definitely let me know if you've ever tried sustainable female products. I would be curious to know what your favorites were other than the Diva Cup. I'm not there yet. Maybe one day. So I'd love to know what other options are right now for some sustainable products for women. And honestly, women, let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about these things, because even if it makes other people uncomfortable, let them be uncomfortable. It's okay to talk about the fact that we have cycles. It's okay to talk about incontinence. In fact, this is one of the things that I'm most passionate about at the studio, which is why we partner with physiotherapy with Monica Patel. She was my physical therapist postpartum with my second child, because I went back for a pelvic floor rehabilitation, because we don't talk about this stuff, ladies. And in the States, the postpartum care is just terrible with regard to pelvic floor health and overall health in general with what happens with our pelvic floor postpartum. And so it was this sort of my passion to help. I knew that if I was having problems, and I was a yoga teacher, and I knew what my mula bandha was, my pelvic floor, and if I was having trouble getting my brain to be connected with it, what about the hundreds of other women, thousands of other women that are in the Chattanooga area, or over the millions of women over the world that are suffering, or not suffering, experiencing the same issues that I was. So I love working with women. I love being a voice for women for things that may otherwise be somewhat uncomfortable. And so, ladies, be sure to talk about these things. Make sure that you know that there are other people thinking the same thing. Like, you don't have to use just those aisles and aisles of products that may or may not be at your area supermarket. So there's options, there's sustainable options that can also help you. And who's to say maybe these sustainable products might help to deal with some of these menstrual related issues. I know going to more organic ways have definitely helped to reduce some of my cycle related issues. So, but that could be a subject for another conversation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and check out the description down below for a link to find your own HighOh Period Starter Kits. Thanks again. Take care. See you soon.